Shadow in the first row. Oops. La 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 la. Today I'm going to be featuring for you guys an awesome swatch party for two of the hottest palettes trending this summer. The brand new KKW Camo Palette and also the new MAC Botanic Panic Palette. So stay tuned for swatches and my final thoughts on duping the vibes of the KKW palette and the MAC palette. Hi, I'm Kendra Morgan Official, and thanks so much for joining me. I like to put out content weekly centered around makeup brushes that aren't Morphe, single eyeshadows, and sunscreen. So if you like that kind of content, make sure you subscribe to my channel. And let's get started. I am not duping one, but two palettes today. I'm duping the MAC Botanic Panic Palette, and the KKW Camo Beauty Palette, maybe is what it's called. I'm not really sure. But anyways, I'm gonna take you guys on a deep dive into the look of how I got to the KKW palette. And then I'm gonna give you guys a swatch party of the MAC Botanic palette. So let's get started with the KKW palette. And I do want to also mention that these are all Sydney Grace shadows. So if you guys found me, if you're looking for a Christmas in July palette that you'd like to pick up, these are all Sydney Grace shadows, and predominantly these are Sydney Grace shadows as well. Some of the shades were not really something that Sydney Grace really dives into, like the bright neon yellow and green, so I did have to use a couple of other brands, but other than that, I did try to stick to using Sydney Grace for this if I had it, and then also the other palette is Sydney Grace exclusively. So let's get started on finding shadows from my Sydney Grace collection to dupe the KKW Camo Palette. So here we have all of my Sydney Grace shadows, including my Temptalia Sydney Grace collaboration. And I am going to go through the KKW Beauty Camo Palette and find all the comparable Sydney Grace shadows that I have in my collection, and we'll make that palette for you. We're gonna start with top right and just go down the line, and I'm just going to pick shadows that really closely resemble, but also keeping in mind when I am brand specific like this, sometimes you take and pick a shadow that looks best with the color story that you currently have, and you don't try to find the closest dupe shade. I'm not seeing any swatches of the palette. I'm just seeing the shade names attached in some random order, so we'll just have the palette right up here. And then I'll just have, you know, maybe Kim K. West's little head pop up on the shade that we're looking for. Okay, let's get started. First shade is the Matte Beigey Lavender Taupe. And this one looks really good. So, Concrete Road. And then the next shade is kind of a dark foresty green. I don't know, I kind of feel like maybe this shade would work. What is it? Herky Bird. That looks kind of nice. Let's use that. Then there's like a khaki green that looks like baby puke. And I think this one would probably be the closest. That's about the closest that I have, which is Vanguard by Sydney Grace. These are all Sydney Grace. Come on, Kendra, get it together. Okay, so then the next one is a gold green, it looks like. Okay, I see two shades right away. This one and this one. I'll do swatches at the end too. I'm just doing some. I think I want this one. Recruit. Again, another khaki shade, another camo shade. Surprise, surprise. So I think this is about all I have that's close to that shade. Second from the last on the first row, and that's Toffee. And if you guys don't have one of these tools, this really is very helpful. I'll link the pack that I got. They're under $10 on Amazon, and they are extremely helpful in, you know, not scarring up your shadows, picking up shadows really easily. Okay, last shadow on the top row. I feel like this might be something that I really like, and that's called Mom Ride. So let's just give it a whirl. And I'm just randomly swatching some. That wasn't a very good swatch, but I think that's kind of what I'm looking for. The first shade on the bottom row, be a shimmer, so kind of over here. Maybe something like this, but I kind of feel like it's too dark. And also Frosted Morning is kind of, it's okay. It's a little taupey, that might work. I'm going to check out the Temptalia palettes and see what kind of frosty taupey shade we've got in here. This is on the horizon. Oops. Phosphines might be close. Oh, of course you can't see that. That might be close. I feel like it's a little bit too lavender, not enough metal looking. It's really beautiful though. It would kind of be between this one and then I almost think like Sydney Grace's Tiara, but that's a little bit too like pristine, I guess. Let me try Troops. Is that? I feel like this shade is a perfect mixture between these two, and it's a little bit duochrome-y almost. And I feel like it would match the best with this shade up here. Next shade, gonna have to take liberties. I don't have quite that type of khaki shade, so maybe something like this. But it's tippy taupe. I feel like it needs to be a little bit warmer. I'm thinking it'll have to be one of these shades up here. But what will go best with the palette too? That's also what we have to keep in mind. And I think this is gonna have to work. Okay, here's a little secret. Don't try to slide that off. Just pull it off. Because I have done that before where I've pulled it and then it does scar it on the corner if you're not careful. I think that looks pretty good so far. All right, now we need a matte green that looks kind of army green, grungy. It's upper mid-tone, almost into that dark tone. I'm really feeling like this is OD green. That's general, so that means that must be the shade. I really think that that's probably going to be what we want. Then we have like that golden shade, and I really only have something like this. And if we're wanting one-upping the competition here, it's got to be something like this. This has a super high luster, but I don't feel like the only other thing that I have is this one. And that's Aztec Ruins. This is Bronze to Perfection. Okay, so we got both of them here. Oops. Quit farting around there, kids. All right, let me just take and do both of them. And I'm pretty sure you'll be able to see which one is better. That is too, like, prissy. You know, it needs to be more grungy. May have to go with that. I don't actually have that many golden shades by Sydney Grace. That's weird. There is one golden shade in the Temptalia palette. Let me take a look at it. It is from the Radiant Reflection. This one right here. Is that too orange? I kind of feel like that's the vibe. Yes, Exquisite Opulence. Okay, see how I did that? Just kind of popped it up gently. There is a little mark in there, but just take your time. It works really easily. I think I'm gonna do that one. Yeah. Okay, just two more shades left. Let me go ahead and grab. It's a dark purple. I think for this one, I could probably get away with using this shade or even this shade. No, that's too pinky. That one, is there a purple in here? I kind of get frustrated when there's blacks because I feel like matte blacks are something that you invest in a single and then you've got it for like 10 years. So, okay, let's see which one we want. Do we want the warmer matte Or do we want this neutral matte? That's unpredictable. I think either would be a great choice. I think I am going to have to go with the Temptalia one. It's a little bit deeper, a little bit richer. Oops, I can swatch them here just a second. Okay, so Temptalia, unpredictable. Temptalia, unpredictable. I think I'm going to have to go with the deeper tone. That's kind of what the people's choice would be, I think, because that's really the only deepening shade you have. Okay, so now we can put these away because I know we don't need any of the other greens from that. Temptalia didn't have any greens that were like army green. Okay, we just have this last shade here. We could really pick anything. Could do this one. Could do this one. I think it's probably gonna be that second one though. Whoopsie. Sorry. Okay, so the first one was Commission. And the second one, which I think I have to go with, is gonna be Gold Earth. So that's what I think I'm gonna do. Okay, here is my kind of dupe palette from Sydney Grace. The only one that I really would be, I can tell it has too much jewel tone in it, is this purple here, but unfortunately I don't have anything that's a little bit more plummy and not so mid-tone purple that's warm. I think that's probably a neutral purple. But I think given what I have, I definitely duped the vibes. And let's go ahead and get the swatches. The first shadow is Concrete Road. You can see that's a kind of a nice, really powdery matte. Herky Bird. Vanguard. Recruit. Toffee. And last shadow on the first row, oops. And last shadow on the first row is Mom Ride. So Troops is going to start out the first shadow on the second row. Then Peanut Butter. Followed by this Army Green General. Exquisite Opulence out of the Radiant Reflection palette. Collaboration, Temptalia and Sydney Grace. Gold Earth. And lastly, Unstoppable Love. Okay, so there it is. I went through, I duped the vibes. I also keep in mind that the eyeshadows the eyeshadow story needs to look cohesive together when I'm only choosing from one brand. So when I dupe just to dupe, I try to find the shadow spot on, as close to matching the shade, hue, undertones, everything all together. And if I'm duping using just one brand, oftentimes I will make sure that the story is cohesive. So that's what I did in this case. So some of the shades won't exactly be like a 100% dupe. Also, for those of you who ventured over here from the KKW fan base, I don't know much about KKW Beauty. I have no desires to purchase any of their products, or Kim Kardashian has enough money. I don't think she needs any more, so I'm not particularly interested in any of that stuff. But I will say I didn't find any swatches on the website, and I didn't look too deeply, but I didn't find any swatches on her Instagram account either, or Trend Moods. So I just kind of went off of what I would call duping the vibes and just a really nice cohesive color story. So next up we have the MAC Botanic Panic Palette, and for that I just am going to show you guys what I chose from my selection, and we'll go ahead and get into the swatches, the in-depth swatches that I have for you guys. I'll start by showing the palette in all its glory. I think the color story looks beautiful. Not 100% my type of shadows, but Siesta Key is the blue shadow that I use to dupe it. I'm gonna say right now, it was really difficult to tell the finishes on a lot of these shadows, but my friend Rupi Minhas has done a fabulous review on the MAC Botanic Palette, so you can check that out. Morningstar is the next shadow, and it's that kind of that creamy beige color that I selected, and it's from Sydney Grace. It is gorgeous. Followed closely by Golden Strawberry, which is going to be the pink shimmer shade. I thought that was really, really beautiful looking, and it would also be a very beautiful addition to that palette. The final shade on the fourth shade on the first row is Camel, and that's just a really nice creamy beige. It's kind of leaning more like neutral warm, I would say, on the undertone. The second row first shade is Reef. I didn't quite capture the perfect turquoise, but I feel like this is a nice aqua shade that you could mix with the Siesta Key if you wanted to. And this is from AOA Studios. I'm not 100% sure if you can buy this as a single or if you have to buy it in a bundle. Gisa Laying is going to be the shadow that I picked for the dupe. This kind of looks lemon yellow, but it's more of a canary yellow when you actually see it in person and swatched out. Almost leaning towards a banana yellow. It's not exactly as vibrant as the MAC, but I feel like it's a good, strong workhorse. This shade by Glam Shop is what I used for that nice lime greeny shade, and you're going to see here I'm trying to just pull back a little bit to show that green vibe, but I wasn't successful in pulling it off. So on the swatch it looks a bit more yellow, but I would say in person it definitely has a nice green hue to it. I also use this shadow, which I'll just put the name down below, by Glam Shop, and it's kind of that cayenne pepper red that I added. I thought it went really well with the yellow, the green shades right next to it. So, oops. First shade on the very bottom is San Diego, and this is just like a mid-tone, light to medium toned beige, and it leans a little bit more taupe, so I thought it was very fitting. So you have kind of a neutral warm and almost like a neutral cool toned transition shade, so you could go either way with this dupe palette. Then I chose the shade by Sydney Grace Secret, and that's going to dupe this second shade in. I'm sorry I don't have the MAC Botanic Palette names right beside me, or else I'd use them. Yes, I do. That is Keep On Thinking. Excuse me. So then Jam Session, I used the shade Sydney Grace's Pandora for my duping the vibes, and I thought it was like the most beautiful royal purple. It has a little bit of a tinge of a pink base to it. I thought it was really beautiful. Then lastly, we'll finish off this palette with Sweetheart, and it's just a beautiful warm shimmer, kind of complementary on the purple. So there you have it. Those are the swatches for my MAC Botanic Duping the Vibes palette. What do you all think? How did I do? Leave a comment down below how you thought I duped the vibes of the MAC Botanic palette. Okay, so there you have it. I kind of gave you some in-depth swatches of my duping the vibes of the MAC Botanic palette. I have to say I was intrigued by the palette's color story, but after using it a couple times, it it didn't really grab my attention and keep me coming back to it. It was nice to use, but it was also something I felt like I didn't need in my collection. So I'm really glad I duped the vibes with single shadows that I already had in my collection. But I will say this palette here screams my name. If you can't tell already, I like olive green. I love a good olive drab green, and Sydney Grace, perfection. I pretty much own most of the olive drab green shades that she has put out, as well as the olive drab and golden shimmer shades. Then you mix in just a couple of warm transitions and these purples, perfection. So on days that I wear my olive green shirt, I can use these purple and this red shade here, and then on on a day where I'm wearing black, I really only wear like 2 colors, and that's black and green. So if you're finding value in this content, make sure you subscribe to my channel down below. And continuing on, I do want to kind of bring to the table and thank all of you guys. Just take a moment right now just to thank all of you guys. I have my tribe. So I was once told, where there's 1, there's 10, where there's 10, there's 100, and where there's 100, there's 1,000, and you only need 1,000 true fans, and you guys are it. So thank you so much for your subscription and taking some time and spending with me every week, sitting down, watching me put together this content. I want you guys to know there is going to be so much more content in the future, because now I'm able to live stream with you guys via my mobile device. So I'm working hard to get some stuff set up and also have some special guests on my channel as well. And we can sit together and dupe the vibes, maybe even use some of the palettes from our collections and kind of show you guys comparable looks. Got a lot to offer. Hope you guys will consider staying around. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much. And if you're not already, that you'll choose to subscribe for more content like this in the future. Class dismissed. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Can't wait to see you in my next video. Bye.